greetings, everyone. Greetings to Awaken Living, where transformation, healing, and alignment comes alive. I am your host, Yali Giovanni, a holistic wellness guide, here to share tools, wisdom, and conversations that awaken your higher self. This is your invitation to live fully consciously and flow with your life. Today, I have an amazing guest, Big Sis Monique. I am so happy that we're going to have this talk today because your energy is amazing, first and foremost. And secondly, you're just an amazing person and you have a
Thank
lot
you.
that you offer that I need the people to know what you got going on. Okay. But first we want you to share who you are and what you do.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored. I am Monique of Monique Nubia Sunshine Foundation, along with my other company, Soul Harmony Holistic Wellness. And what I do is I advocate for women that look like us, women that experience everything that we experience from puberty all the way through post-menopause, helping women to advocate for themselves on holistic wellness practices, just everything holistic, being able to work with your doctors, but take it a step further and go in through the ancestors and what they gave to us.
That's right.
So I provide yoga, meditation. I'm an herbalist, so I provide herbal remedies to help women navigate those hormonal imbalances as we transition through all stages of life. And more in particular, my focus right now is perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, because we have such a surgence of women that are in that area that don't know what to do. Grandma didn't say nothing, mama didn't say nothing, but they walked around with it and didn't prepare us. So I took it upon myself as one who is going through it or has gone through it to get certified in menopause wellness, especially for women of color, Black and brown women who are being underserved in the medical communities, and being able to speak up for them and also provide them with resources outside of Western medicine to get the healing and the thriving life that they need going forward.
Absolutely. Gratitude for that. Listen, everything in a nutshell.
Yep.
And I'm gonna piggyback on a little thing that you said about mama didn't say anything, grandma didn't say anything. They were going through it,
Mm.
right? And here we are when it's our turn. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how to prepare. We don't know how to deal with it because I'm going through it. My body started saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And I didn't know that's what was happening, right? So I'm glad you share that. Share with us a
Mhm.
little about what we should expect going
Okay.
through the peri of the pause.
Okay. So the first thing I do want to backtrack to where you said mamas and grandmas didn't say anything.
Hmm.
And I think how this all began for them was a shame, right? Because,
Hmm.
when I talk about going from puberty to postmenopause, that puberty stage was an area that a lot of us didn't even get that talk to either, right? When our cycle came through, it was like, oh, mama had to scramble and figure out what to do. And aunties and whoever was around, if they helped, if they didn't help, whatever you got with it. I know when mine came along, I didn't tell nobody what was going on because I didn't know what to expect. And I
Right.
didn't know what was going on. I thought something was wrong with my body. So
Hmm.
that's where it really begins for all of us, where that communication is not happening from that particular point. And then when it does happen, it's being made to seem like it's something dirty, it's something nasty, it's something you should not be proud of, and something that you should not be excited about in some households, right? It was celebrated briefly for me, but you got brothers and cousins that tease you about what you got going on every month.
Right.
So it became a thing where you started to hide and you started to be really, embarrassed by that, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this carries along when we go through, menopause, or we pass through fertility stages and going into perimenopause and menopause. And perimenopause is something that I've never even heard my mother talk about, because I don't even think it was a term for that when she was coming up. They
Right.
didn't actually prepare you for that pre-menopause area, where a lot of us in Gen X, where we're talking about it because we're experiencing it,
Right.
and we're experiencing it younger. There are
Yes.
women experiencing it in their 30s, as opposed to when my mother was coming up and it was 40s and 50s.
Right.
And women are having fertility issues, and a lot of that plays into what is happening in Western medicine as it pertains to the types of fertility drugs that they give us, birth
Yes.
control, when they give us all of these different things to control our ability to be able to fertilize naturally. And so I think what's happening in women today is that the perimenopause is coming on so quickly, so suddenly, because if you notice, the younger generation is even having a hard time being fertile. Men
Yeah.
in their 30s, 20s, and 30s are going to fertility clinics to try to get pregnant, doing in
Yeah.
vitro and all these things. And it's like, when did this start to happen where women just did not have the ability to reproduce as easily as it did with my grandmother? My grandmother had 13, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And we had big families back then. And now it gets smaller and smaller because women have done things unknowingly to their bodies that stop the body from doing the normal things that it's supposed to do. So it's bringing on perimenopause and menopause a lot earlier than it should, which is also bringing a silent death if you don't know how to navigate through it. So for
Yes.
me, you know, I started to learn that when my mom got sick, and I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that it was a culmination of things. She didn't say anything about perimenopause, but hot flashes. All she talked about was
Right.
hot flashes. So we thought that's all you're going to experience in menopause, right? We thought that was
Right.
it. We gonna get hot flashes and that's it. I also recognize my grandmother, very outspoken. She's
Mm-hmm.
always been outspoken, but really extremely outspoken. And the cranky old lady, you know, the cranky old lady syndrome, right? And we thinking, you know, she just mean, she just mean. This is that change in life that adjusts you to not having a filter, not giving a damn, and really
Right.
being open and honest. But really, we didn't even know that was part of the change that happens with perimenopause and postmenopause, you know, menopause. And so I started to put all these things together back in, I think it was 2012. Started putting it together because my mom started getting sick, and then all these other underlining things started happening
Yeah.
because of her unawareness of how to handle the menopause. She wanted to lose weight because she started to gain the belly fat, so she got all
Right.
diet drugs in order to
Mm-hmm.
take it off, not realizing that it's a hormonal imbalance. And
Right.
that's not the conversation you hear when you hear people talking about hot flashes. They don't tell you, oh, my hormones are out of whack, because they don't know. They
Right.
really don't know. So in perimenopause, what we would expect, and it varies across the board depending on lifestyle. So this is what I found out, is your
Oh.
lifestyle that plays a role. It varies from hot flashes, night sweats, off and on. It varies from having muscle aches, sometimes sleepless nights, not being able to focus on thinking. You have things like frozen shoulder. Women get that frozen shoulder sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You get the moments of depression up and down because you
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. If you're still getting your cycle during this time, and usually perimenopause is the time where you are still getting your cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and your cycle might skip 3 months and come back and show up another month, or it
Right.
might come 2 times in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
It fluctuates, and the reason
Yeah.
why that fluctuates is because the hormones are trying to figure out what's going on as you are losing estrogen. So as you're losing estrogen and you're releasing eggs each month, or whenever you're releasing the eggs, you're losing estrogen. And what happens is the body is responding to it because estrogen is a very important hormone that we need to have. Estrogen
Right.
is the hormone that builds our wellness, actually, our skin. It builds up our immune system. It helps us be able to heal faster. And so estrogen is a very important hormone. So when you start secreting and losing more and more of that estrogen, your body and all the other hormones start to react to it. You know,
Yeah.
you get less progesterone, because progesterone is that hormone that helps you when you're pregnant. It gives you
Mm-hmm.
that glow. It gives you all of those things you need in order to carry the baby. It's a very powerful, and it works alongside estrogen. So when you start losing estrogen, progesterone is like, what the hell? You know,
Right.
so everything starts fluctuating, and you
Yeah.
get
No, real
get these
talk.
moments. Yeah, so
Yeah.
perimenopause is very complex because it comes with so many different things. And like I said, because it's a lifestyle where you get a lot of your symptoms, how you eat, how you
Mm-hmm.
manage stress, and how you be able to take care of yourself on a personal level is very, very important. And so for me, I think I coast right through perimenopause because I was so busy.
Yeah.
And I mean it in a sense of, I may have had some of these symptoms and didn't even pay any attention to it
Right.
because, you know, us, was black and brown women flow. I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh, I got an ache in my shoulder. Oh, I'll be all right. I'm gonna take a bath tonight. Da, 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 and move it on. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? So we learned how to accept imbalance. We
Mm-hmm.
learned how to accept inflammation. We
Right.
learned how to accept those things because we had to keep moving. But the moment you sit down and you sit with yourself is when all those things come up. And then what do? We get busy again, so we don't got to deal with it. So
Exactly.
it got missed on my part, and I never got hormone
Mhm.
testing, which I don't really recommend the hormone testing during that time because your hormones are fluctuating.
Right.
Now, it's good to know, it's good to be tracking that from puberty on down, but
Mm-hmm.
to get consistent hormone testing, I would say if you feel like you need to get it done, get it done. But don't be alarmed by what you see because next month it could be something else, especially if you're skipping cycles, you're showing up with a cycle, your hormones are going to be up and down. So you might take a test one day and it might say, you know, your estrogen is low, your progesterone, your testosterone is very low, all these things are low. Maybe 2 months later, you take a test and it'll say something different. So that's
Right.
why perimenopause is not really recommended to get a lot of testing done. But it is something that I think women need to journal whatever minute change that they discover in themselves of what it is. You're good to recognize it, you know, because you know what's going on with your body, but
Right.
also this is the conversation that's happening now.
You said something that I think is important for us to talk about because I was guilty of not knowing anything that was going on. I knew something was wrong with my body because I know my body,
Mm-hmm.
but I never thought perimenopause at all. I
Yeah.
didn't think it. I just thought maybe I had a cold or maybe I bumped myself and I hurt myself and didn't realize. Because again, like you said earlier, we're always moving, we're always in motion doing something. So, and
Mm-hmm.
that's me. Like, not to say that I have to be doing something, but I am always doing something. That's just part of what I do.
Yeah.
Right. So, when I had the opportunity to pause, my entire body hurt for a week at a time. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying, because I'm a yogi. I'm trying to stretch, and I'm like, why is it taking me so? Like, why I can't? And what? And I'm trying to figure out, like, what the heck is going on that I can't?
Mm.
This asana, or no,
Mm.
this is weird. You know what I'm saying? So then it took me to, okay, pause. So now I had to be intentional in journaling so that I can look back, so that I can read back and see what was happening maybe a month or two before
Yeah.
until today, for me to say, well, maybe I am in perimenopause. So that jolted me to start researching. And I was like, dang, I'm too young to be going through this. But nowadays, there is no such age expectation of it because people
Mm.
are, there's a few girls that started in their 20s, their late
Yep.
20s.
Yep.
I
Yep.
was like, you
Scary.
remember back in the days, that was something that we thought, and even
Old
that.
women get, right? That's what we thought.
Well, yes. So that is a topic that I believe perhaps we might have to revisit it later on again because it has
Yeah.
so many components to it.
The thing is, I think society has changed in a way where everything that we eat is processed.
Yeah.
Everything that we put on our bodies is made from some sort of chemical. And
Yeah.
so now the younger generation that is drinking the bottled water out of the plastic, heating their food up in the microwave with the plastic, all of
Yeah.
those things is altering and changing everybody's hormones, male and female. And it's showing up more because people are drawing attention to it. I
Hmm.
think those things could have been happening back in the days and just people were not talking about it. Now, in this day and age of technology and social media, folks are telling all their business on social media. And that
Yeah.
includes when something is not feeling right, they're talking about it. So now the next person is like, damn, well, I'm experiencing that same thing. Let me
Mhm.
look at that and see what that's all about. And so now we see we have something in common, but also what we have in common is what's changing in the world today. And
Right.
so all of these things are playing a factor. That's why I said lifestyle is so important because even though we may do what we do, like I'm a yogi as well. And I think I
Hmm.
stopped doing yoga because my knee all of a sudden started to feel
Yeah.
different. And I was like, okay, I can't bend like this anymore. And so I just stopped. And I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 'Cause it will stop you in your tracks and
Mm-hmm.
make you investigate. And it's only when we sit down with ourselves and we stop moving and we stop letting everything around us move and we start to feel it.
Yes,
And we start to feel it. It's our body's way of saying, listen, you're going to pay attention to me whether you like it or not.
absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what it is because, again, you're so busy, preoccupied with everything that you're
Mm-hmm.
not even paying attention to your body. And your body's like, oh, you're not going to take that minute? Hold on a minute. Let me show you something right quick.
I'm going to give you the minute.
You
Okay.
have
I'm
no
going to give it to
idea.
you because you don't want to take it. That's what it's doing.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Monique. What is
Mm-hmm.
3 things that you would suggest for us as women, whether we're in our late 20s, 30s, early 40s, 40s, period, 50s?
Mm-hmm.
What is 3 things that you would suggest that when we're journaling and paying attention to our body that we should like focus on? Like, for instance, we talked about how we practice yoga, but we realized that we couldn't do certain asanas because something was hurting,
Yeah.
right? And that caused us to pause to really investigate, to understand that we're going through the before, right? So, what
Mm-hmm.
is 3 things that you would suggest for us to pay attention to?
Okay. So the first thing I would say when you get up in the morning, pay attention to how your body is feeling when you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're paying attention to how your body is feeling, close your eyes and hold yourself and
Yes.
take deep breaths and
Yes.
just sit in that for a moment and tell yourself how much you love your body no matter what changes it is going through. That's
Yeah.
one of the first things that I had
Yeah.
to learn upon waking. Maybe give myself a few breaths and then really
Yeah.
hold myself. And I know people who are religious and spiritual, they wake up in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Pray, give yourself that. Give
Yeah.
yourself that. If you pray to
Absolutely.
the Most High first, then the next thing you do is you give that love to yourself. That's number one. Start the day that way. And
Yeah.
then what I would say during the course of the day, take deep breaths. We don't breathe.
Yeah.
We
And
don't
breathe
breathe.
properly, though, because there is a science to breathing too. So we got
Yes.
to breathe through
So
our
we have
nose.
to breathe properly in the
Yes.
nose, expanding everything and
Yes.
then holding it for a second and then releasing and just allowing everything to collapse. Really, and learning how to do that. So breathing, just a simple breath will take
Mm-hmm.
you out of fight or flight, because fight or flight also pushes you into some of these symptoms with menopause and
Yes.
menopause, that anxiety, right? And
Yeah.
then I would say another thing in the evening, carve out 30 minutes for yourself. Even if you're a busy woman and 30 minutes might seem like a lot, start with 10 minutes and build your way up to 30 minutes. I would say max give yourself an hour before you
Yeah.
go to bed at night to sit with yourself, review
Mm-hmm.
your day, journal your day and how you feel physically, how you feel emotionally, and how you feel spiritually. And then love on yourself again. The same thing you started with, you end
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yes. Gratitude. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it because somebody needed to hear that.
Absolutely.
And self-care, self-love, all of that starts with us first.
Yep.
You can seek for it outside of yourself, but you're going to be in a cycle of seeking outwardly as opposed to inwardly.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you actually touch base on that.
Yeah, I think it's important, and as women are going through perimenopause, that instead of relying 100% on your doctors and 100% on people to kind of support you from the outside, is for you to go inside. It helps alleviate so much. When I was starting to recognize what I was going through, I had to take moments to love myself truly.
Yeah.
Truly love myself. Not just say self care, I'm going to get my nails done and my toes. No,
Right.
I really had to sit down in a room and quiet. And sometimes I had to fight my younger self
Yeah.
and battle with her and to get rid of all of these cycles and these old beliefs that I had about myself that's
Yeah.
creating a distance between my now, and
Yeah.
who I am. And so when I don't knock women who decide to do medications and HRT and things like that. I support them in whatever their journey is, but I'm always going to fight for something holistic and natural. And so
Yeah.
the natural thing for me is, as we're progressing into this part of our life, is to take accountability of where we are rather than seeking a quick fix that you're going to be on for the rest of your life
Yeah.
and not really address the little girl that you missed out on, not
Yeah.
really address on the woman that you are becoming, because this is a wisdom that we're going into.
Correct.
Perimenopause is a wisdom that we are going into. We are going into our greatest selves. We are
Yeah.
going to our most intelligent self, our most intuitive self, our most highest self. We are becoming the sage in our community, in our families. We have a wealth of information inside of us. And this transition that's happening with us is emerging all of those things to come out, but we got to get all of these blockages and these generational stuff out of the way. The work that we got to do, not the doctors giving us medication and putting a patch on
That's
it and
right.
saying, okay, go about your merry. Because I got a lot of women who are in postmenopause is like, I'm staying on it for the rest of my life and I don't have to do anything else. But you don't hold yourself accountable for the stuff that you have transitioned from when
Yes.
you just put a patch on it and keep it moving. I'm not
Right.
saying you can't have that, but sit with yourself. Like really
Hmm.
sit with yourself and really meet who you are. Because half of us don't even know. And it never had an introduction to this new woman that's emerging from us, right? And
Yeah.
so now we're sitting with this thing and we're like, oh, I don't like that woman. I'm gonna give her a pill and shut her up and stop her from doing what she's supposed to do. But then when you sit with yourself and you go through the herbs and you go through your history and you go through your ancestors, you go through what you went through, you are gathering information to
Yeah.
disseminate this new woman out into the community who is going to bring a whole different level of healing. That's what's
Absolutely.
important.
That's right. That's right. And you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned herbs. So let's tap into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are some herbs that you will share with us that we can get and use while we're going through the process? There's a concoction that I use for myself. I created that one for myself.
Tell me about it. Listen, I use all of the feminine herbs and I do mixtures. So when I work with,
Hmm.
because I have clients that I work with and I make specific things for them because everybody has a unique, that's one thing I do want to say. Perimenopause is going to be unique for every woman. Menopause
Yeah.
is going to be unique for every woman. You're going to
Right.
go through your own set of things because like I said, this is predicated on lifestyle. So
Right.
I know that how your lifestyle is going to predicate how those symptoms or those transitions show up for you, right?
Correct.
So what I do is I use herbs like wild yam is like my go-to. That is my
Hmm.
baby. I love her because I know for me, my testosterone was low and that wild yam
Hmm.
brings it right back up. And so like I'm drinking my smoothie now with I have wild yam. I
Hmm.
have fenugreek is another
Yes.
one really good.
Hmm.
Black cohosh is
Hmm.
another one. It's not all in here, but I have a few of them in here. Black cohosh, red raspberry is king. Red clover, ashwagandha will
Yes.
help you with those moods. When you
Yes.
really want to strangle somebody, it will help
Yes.
you regulate that. I also use Dong Quai. Dong
Uh-huh.
Quai is my baby. Vitex, which is chastity berry. I had a concoction that I was 3 years in menopause, and I made a concoction out of chastity berry, red raspberry, black cohosh, and Paul d'Arco.
Hmm.
And I made a concoction, and I was drinking this every day. And it brought my cycle back after 3 years of not getting my period.
What?
I said, Monique, what are you doing? Girl, what you doing? You ain't trying to have no babies? I missed my cycle, but I was like, I don't miss it like that. you know, after 3 years, it brought my cycle back. And I found
What?
myself and then a full on cycle. It wasn't just a spotting and this and that. It was
Yeah.
a full on cycle. I went to the gynecologist and they didn't believe me. Because they were
Uh-huh.
like, you're 51 years old. How did you manage to do that? And I went through menopause at 49. And
Okay.
so I was 52 when it happened. And
Okay.
so I came in and they didn't believe me. So she did a pelvic exam, which I was fully against, but I was like, do what you got to do.
Hmm.
And she took the thing out and had blood on it. She was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And so they did a transvaginal sonogram and she
Uh-huh.
said, everything looks fine. You're releasing an egg. So, tidbit of information for you ladies. Because you go through menopause or perimenopause doesn't mean you're going to lose all your eggs. Your eggs may stop functioning at a certain point. You may
Hmm.
still have your eggs or you still may be able to produce eggs, but it will not be as potent as it would be as if you were in your 20s, your 30s, or if you were experiencing your progesterone levels were high. It just
Okay.
so happened that I tricked the hormones into believing a certain thing just by the way I was treating my body.
Okay.
And not to mention I was in a relationship with a younger man. So
Hmm.
everything kind of set itself up like, oh, we blossoming again. I was just like, wow. So if I want to work with women who are having fertility issues, we got a remedy right here. You know what I mean? Whatever that's going to do for them. If it brings a cycle back, if it opens up the eggs, whatever it does.
Right.
But it was just something that shocked me. And I was like, so these herbs work. Okay.
Yes.
And for anybody who is in doubt about natural wellness, natural healing, and the herbs and all the things that we have on this planet to assist us, they work. And
Yes.
so what I say with consistency, the thing is that you don't do the same things all the time, because this is the way that you start to work with your body, because your body will get used to a certain herb, and then it'll be like, oh, she's on that herb again. Okay, we're not
Right.
gonna do that much. What you need to do is switch up your herbs, switch
Yeah.
up what you use and how you use. Or like with the wild yam, I have a regimen where I will do wild yam for 2 weeks straight, and then for 1 week I won't do it, and then if I do it again, it'll be every other day. So I have a rhythm of how I do what I do,
Yeah.
just so that my body is not getting used to this, that, and the third. And then you have a multitude of herbs that support each other. You have herbs that work very well on its own. You have
Hmm.
herbs that will fade out for a period of time, and then you can bring it back in. So it's
Right.
it's about really working with you. Really is it
Absolutely.
really working with you, and really taking your medicine, meaning that these plants and these herbs and everything is the medicine. You are the medicine. So what you do
Absolutely.
is you take those things as needed, as you need
Hmm.
them. I don't have to drink sea moss every day. When I first got diagnosed with menopause, they told me my thyroid levels were low, and they wanted
Hmm.
to put me on medicine. And I was like, oh no, I need to get my sea moss back on, because I stopped doing my sea moss, and I do my sea moss 1 week and I get off of it another week, because too much of the iodine can also
Yeah.
cause an adverse effect with hyperthyroidism.
Hmm.
And so you have to play with these things like you are conscious of your own wellness.
And I want to say something in addition to what you just shared, because I worked in OB/GYN for a good 7, 8 years. And I remember when drug reps used to come in every week. They'll bring treats, girl. They'll bring like nice lunches for the whole staff. And, it's briberies. I'm bringing you this delicious meal because I need you to push this specific medication out. And I remember one of the physicians saying, well, no, I mean, they can bring all the lunch they want, but I'm not giving my patients this. And I say that because you said something that was very powerful. Learn to know yourself.
Yep,
Communicate with yourself. The same energy we give to our relationships, whether it's with a significant other, our children, our parents, the same energy and love that we want to give to others, we need to understand, and overstand that we got to give that to ourselves first.
that's
So
right.
knowing your body is so important. And I learned that through this process, is that if I had not given myself the time to pause, to figure out what's really going on with my body, because why I can't do this asana, this was really messing with me,
Yeah.
right? If I hadn't given myself the opportunity to pause and figure it out, that's self-love, that's self-care. Pausing for yourself, just as simple as that. It's not throwing out the word, but it's actually caring for yourself. And like you said, and I back you 1,000%, we have to build that relationship with our own self first, so that we can know what to do, and
Yep.
then be part of a community that we can reach out to, so that we can talk to and say,
Right.
hey, Monique, girl, I'm having this. And you will say, girl, you need to take some of this.
And same for me, just having that exchange back. Just because I do
Absolutely.
this and I'm specialist in what I do, I open to my sisters and say, girl, you know what? I've been trying to shake this thing. What do you think I should do? You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Because we need each other. It's an
Absolutely.
exchange. Yes, it's an exchange.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So you
Yeah.
said something about menopause. Because I'm looking forward to menopause. I'm over this. Having a period for 2 months, it's not cute.
It's
It's
scary because you
exhausting,
don't
it's
know what's
scary.
going on. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
How long would you say for you that's been?
I would say I'm in my third year. My dad's been gone for a year, and
Uh-huh.
that's how I'm able to keep track. So for a year before he passed, I was going through it, and
Okay.
it's been a year since he's been gone, and I'm in my third year.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I would say I would go to a specialist to find out how many eggs you might have potentially
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
left. Because
Okay.
for me, it just was one day it just stopped.
Oh,
One day it just stopped happening. And then I had to wait an entire year to know that this was it.
okay.
So there would be like a month where I say, okay, it didn't come this month. And then
Mm-hmm.
next month, okay, it didn't come this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, and all the way until a year happened. And I was like, okay, I didn't get anything for like a year. And
Okay.
so I was like, okay, let me just see if it don't show up next month.
Right.
Like I just like, okay, maybe my body, because my body did go through a time where I didn't get a cycle for an entire year, and it showed up the year to the day that it didn't show up.
Really?
And it was after a medical procedure that I had.
Okay.
So it didn't show up for an entire year. And I didn't really consider it menopause. Actually, I was getting my cycle, but it was not coming out of the body. I
Really?
had something called Asherman syndrome where scar tissue actually blocked my cycle from coming out,
Wow.
and it was drying up in the body. It would make me think I was pregnant at some point. And this was
Really?
doing this for a year, and then I decided to when I got diagnosed with it after 3 months of going through it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
excruciating pain.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to shift my diet to all raw foods. When I
Okay.
did that, scar tissue, I went to go get it checked a year later. They said, "What scar tissue are you talking about?"
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I healed my body.
Yes.
I was like,
Naturally.
I healed my body because there was scar tissue there and I wasn't getting the issues that I was getting. And my cycle showed up just excitedly. I was excited because I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And this was I had to be about 45 years old.
Okay.
45. And so then I got my cycle then on in until I hit about 49. And then
Okay.
one day it just stopped. So then I was just anticipating, okay, maybe it'll come next month. And it just
Mm-hmm.
didn't. So after that, I was like, okay, so I'm really in menopause right now. But what
Mm-hmm.
I discovered is this: menopause is one day. One
Mm.
day. It's that day after that full year that you don't get that cycle. It's that one day. After
Okay.
that one day, you are post-menopause. And so what
Oh.
that is now, because it's just that one particular day. So what that means, post-menopause means is this is what you're going to be for the rest of your life if you
Mm.
are exercising wellness. So you
Mm-hmm.
could have a pleasant post-menopausal life if
Mm-hmm.
you are thriving. If you catch yourself in perimenopause and you get yourself a regimen together and you have a routine and you're feeling good and you're not getting all of these transitions, or these transitions are now working well with you and you
Mm-hmm.
have control over them, then as you progress into menopause and then post menopause, you can continue to have a thriving lifestyle. But you
Okay.
have to always stay vigilant on knowing what your levels are. I would say at that particular time, once you hit menopause, is to
Mm-hmm.
take your hormonal tests. You get a
Okay.
full hormonal panel. You get your T2 and T3 for your thyroid. You get your vitamin D, and you get all your workup done. And I have like a list that I tell my clients to go get done because they need to know. And I have a lot of doctors that give pushback. They don't
Yeah.
want to do the testing. And
Right.
this is where I come in as an advocate, and I'm like, listen, this person is paying medical insurance.
Yeah.
They are entitled to know what is going on with their body because they feel like something's going on. Doctors are brushing it off as depression. They're
Yeah.
brushing it off as anxiety. They want to give you meds for that. Some of them are saying it's an autoimmune issue, so they want to give you autoimmune drugs.
Right.
Some of them are they got a host of different things but menopause. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to go down that path. And so what I've learned in the past, they used to call it whiny women's disease. The
Yeah.
doctors used to literally say this because the
Mm-hmm.
women would come in and say, "Oh, I'm having hot flashes and I can't sleep at night," and they just give them a pill and that's it. So now women are being more vocal and vigilant on being heard. And
Yeah.
I'm telling them that it is your right to have hormone testing done to find out where your levels are so that you can begin a process of learning what you need to do, whether it is HRT or whether it is something natural. I had a doctor who's wonderful in Coral Springs, this Black woman, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Sabine. She was doing hormone testing for me every 3 months.
Oh, that's good.
Because once I got into menopause and got into post menopause, she's like, well, your numbers are reading post menopause, which I was shocked
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know what postmenopause is really. You just
Right.
know menopause, you know?
Yeah.
And so you think menopause is everything all the way. No, there's postmenopause. So she said you're
Mhm.
postmenopausal, your cortisol levels are through the roof, your
Okay.
testosterone is super low. So I was stressing.
Yeah.
I was stressing. Cortisol is that where the belly fat comes from.
Correct.
Okay, so I was stressing through the roof and didn't even realize I was stressing. And
Mm-hmm.
so she said, your adrenal system is a little shaky because all of your numbers are all over the place. Your iron is great.
Mm-hmm.
No, my iron was low actually at the time. My vitamin D was good.
Okay.
So she's like, you got a lot of stuff going on. So she sat down and she read and she explained it to me. So when
Mm-hmm.
I got my certification, that was the first thing I did was to learn how to understand how to read the testing. So if
Yeah.
any of the ladies go get the testing done, if they get it from their doctor, then a second opinion or a second read would be me, and I would read it for them and
Mm-hmm.
explain to them. With that, I would also take the herbs and I would
Mm-hmm.
cater something specific for where you're low at. So if your estradiol, which is your estrogen, is really low, then we're
Mm-hmm.
going to work with that. We're going to get you something to build the progesterone in you. So we're going to build something with herbs that are dealing like the red raspberry and the black
Right.
cohosh is going to build those things for you. A lot of women are very low in testosterone. This is where the energy is lower. You're feeling tired all
Yeah.
the time. You're not
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you want the brain fog. That's where that's
Right.
coming from. So what I do is I give you the testosterone with the wild yam. Now the kicker point of that is they have a bioidentical hormone replacement that is made from wild yam, and it's a pellet
Mm-hmm.
that they put inside of you. But the problem with that is it's a 6 month pellet and it's time release, and you don't know if you're being overdosed with testosterone or not. Some women are getting so much testosterone, they're growing hair, they're
Yeah.
getting their period back, they're having all these different masculine things happening to them. That's why I'm like, I don't know about HRT. I feel like they're
Yeah.
testing on it, you know, with you.
Absolutely.
Whereas with the herbs, it's something natural that you can take yourself off of and put yourself back on when you feel like it. You
Which
don't
puts
have
the
to be
power back
dedicated.
in your hands.
Absolutely, and where it should be. This is so layered for us, so
Yeah.
layered. Because
Yeah.
even with that being said, all that physical stuff, we got spiritual stuff going on. The
Absolutely.
grandmother is being born. You know what I'm saying? The sage is being born. Yes. And so it's not just a physical thing, it's a mental, spiritual thing that is going on with our transition. And we have to embrace it fully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not be ashamed of it. Well, this was amazing.
Yes, yes. As you can see, I love talking about this. I love to get this out to so many women because it's especially in our communities. And I know there are bigger conversations happening on a bigger scale, but the real meat and potatoes about what's going on. I will say this, just so you know, hot flashes are when your veins are opening up and reaching the surface of your skin, causing you to be hot. So that's
Mm.
what that is. It's dilation of those veins. So when you go to bed at night and you have night sweats, you are having a hot flash in your sleep, and that's why you're sweating.
Okay. And I was having a lot of night sweats, but again, didn't realize that's what I was experiencing, right? And so now that you say that, I don't have much. I can count how many night sweats I've had in the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Hot flashes, I had one today right before we started. And prior to that, I haven't had one maybe in a month or two.
I would say check what you're eating. Sometimes what you eat triggers a hot flash, and that's
Okay.
the veins expanding. And sometimes I put a little cayenne pepper in my water, to
Hmm.
kind of calm things down. But what really, really helps is a little bit of magnesium helps with that. But
Yeah.
ashwagandha is beautiful for that. I'll have that on deck for it.
That's part of my concoction.
Okay? The ashwagandha is golden. It's
Listen, I
golden.
ditto that, okay? Because
Yes. Sometimes fasting, intermittent fasting, like I'm getting ready to do a 30-day juice cleanse, juice
hmm
fasting.
hmm
And I did a 9-day fruit and water. And I can tell you for the first 3 days, I was getting hot flashes like crazy because my hormones was like, what the heck is
yeah,
going on? She's not eating. She's not what? And so it started to, what it was doing was recalibrating in my body and I felt it. So I didn't feel like the hot flashes were annoying. I felt like
yeah,
there's transition happening, and then after the fourth day, my body was like, oh, this is beautiful.
yeah,
No inflammation, We're getting all this mucus out the body, and the body
Yes,
was loving it. So for menopausal women, fasting, intermittent fasting is heaven for us
yes,
because
it
it
is.
helps us reset everything.
Absolutely. And you know what? To piggyback off of that, for the past 6 weeks, I've been on this regimen where I juice and I do smoothies and
Mm-hmm.
I eat salads. And then if I eat salads like rice and chicken or rice and fish, then
Mm-hmm.
I would, so for instance, today is Sunday. Today will be
Uh-huh.
soup day, right? Tomorrow is salad. Tuesday will probably either be chicken and rice or fish and rice. And then I go
Mm-hmm.
back to smoothie on Wednesday, then
I
soup
like
on
that.
Thursday.
I like
That
that.
way
It's a
my
rhythm.
body, yes, it's a rhythm and my body is able to break down whatever solids and it has enough time because we're getting older.
Yep.
So the body is not functioning as fast as it used to. So you got to work with your body. So that's the
Yep.
way I've been eating for the past 6 weeks, and it has been amazing.
Yeah, that's what that reading our bodies is so important.
Yeah,
Reading, looking, examining
yeah,
everything with our bodies because this is the vehicle that drives our soul. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So we got to take care of that car.
I love it, Monique. We have to
Yeah.
do this one more game. I don't want to take
Yes,
up
of
all your time, but
course.
I am grateful for you sharing the amazing information and gem that you shared with us today because it was
Yeah.
amazing. I learned so much. I didn't even know there was such a thing called post-menopause. I just thought it was peri and menopause,
Okay.
so gratitude for that.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude.
Community, I hope
Yes.
you all enjoyed what we just shared. Monique, where can they find you should our community want to connect with you?
Yes. So my website is Monique Nubia Sunshine Foundation.org. And you can find me always on Instagram under Monique Nubia Sunshine Foundation under the same name. Trying to get everybody to move along into the website a little bit more where we're giving so much more information on
Okay.
events. And I'm even blogging about little things that you can do. And they can join my newsletter where they can get a newsletter each month with all the different things that's going on. So that's the best place that you can find me.
Gratitude for joining me on this journey of awakened living, Monique. We
Yes.
appreciate your presence today. May the insights and practices we share today inspire you to live with more peace, presence, and purpose. If this episode touched your spirit, I invite you to share it, subscribe, and leave a review so that together we can awaken more lives. To connect deeply, visit yaligiovanni.com and follow Yali Giovanni across all social media where you'll find resources, events, and holistic offerings to support your journey. Until next time, remember, your light is sacred, your journey is divine, and awakening begins within. Have a great day.